I can almost imagine myself right there back at the beginning. The idea of putting together a once-in-a-lifetime trip to do something no team had done in over 100 years, it still puts a chill down my spine. But we never intended on continuing our journey. I mean, the Oregon Trail off-road expedition was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so can you really have more than one of those? We also never intended on having a community rise up around us. We were just a couple of average dudes trying something different after all. But our friends, our families, and our followers kept asking the question, what's next? So, naturally the conversation started bouncing around, what is next? We threw some ideas out there, but nothing ever felt right. It just happened so organically the first time, and now we felt like we were forcing it. But we knew if we wanted to continue along this path, some things needed to evolve to fit what we were changing into. So now we had two cards on the table. Who are we, and where are we going? But that's when the real story started to unfold. So the conversation started to heat up as we traveled along the Oregon Trail, and we were no closer to deciding on what our next journey would be or if there'd even be one. After a couple weeks of banter back and forth, it seemed like we were drifting further and further away from how this whole thing began, and the future of our team was still undecided, until we pulled into Atlantic City. Population 37, this tiny Wyoming outlaw town is drenched in its renegade past and hasn't changed much since the days when the outlaws used the town as a safe haven. We pulled through the sleepy town down its dirt roads to the Atlantic City Mercantile, not realizing that this would alter our team's course in an unexpected direction. I won't bore you with all the details, but in a snapshot, Robert Redford put together an expedition in the late 70s, retracing the steps of some of the West's most infamous outlaws. The path ran from the US border in El Paso, Texas, to the northern reaches of Montana right beneath the Canadian line. Well, it didn't take much more than a polite conversation and a hearty lunch at the Atlantic City Mercantile, and we had our direction. Our next expedition would follow along the path of the American outlaws as we ride in their footsteps from border to border. So now the question was answered as to our future, but still lingering was, who would we become? We were Oregon Trail off-road, but if we were going to forge on in our odyssey, we needed something to describe us, a name that would carry us forward. This was the most difficult part of our journey. Our desire was something that spoke to who we were not only as a team, but as a movement. And slowly, much like the oxen and the wagon trains of the past, our name began to develop. We weren't as polished or equipped as some of our peers, but we were driven, loyal, and in light of the newly found expedition, we began to identify more and more with the romance in the outlaw history. For us, it wasn't as much about the lifestyle as it was their spirit. We saw in ourselves the desire to pull away from the confines of normal life and pursue something outside of what most are accustomed to. So, much like the last expedition, through the growth of our team and the evolution of our journey, we persevere and push on, Jason, Kobe, and the band of misfits that makes our team a brotherhood. We stand united under a new banner, bearing a new name that leaves a statement and an impression in history, much like the pioneers that forged the trail before us. We are Outlaw Xpeditions.